Take two people, same job title, maybe even in the same company, both earning £150,000 a year. One of them is a single missed payslip away from proper panic. Not inconvenience, panic. The other one could walk in on Monday morning, hand in their notice without even another job lined up, and genuinely not really think or feel it for 3 years. Two completely different lives. And the gap has nothing to do with their income. It is 7 levels. 7 levels, and your life changes shape at every single one of them. 15 years of this, right? Thousands, hundreds of people sat across the desk from me. And here's what I can tell you that a payslip just never, ever will. Roughly 85% of people will climb to level 3 and then just kind of stop forever. Not fail, just stop. And level 4 is the one, surprisingly, where everything actually changes, where your money starts buying back your time instead of just kind of paying for your life. So I'm going to take you up through all 7 so you can work out which one you're at right now. Then I'll show you the wall between 3 and 4 because it isn't financial at all, I would say. Now, I have sat opposite people earning 200 grand a year who have never got over that wall. Okay, so let's start with the frame for the video first. So what you need to know is income is a speedometer, right? Wealth is the kind of fuel gauge, and most people will spend their whole working life staring at kind of the wrong dial, wondering why they feel like they're going fast but not really getting anywhere. So the key thing here is to remember that income does not automatically mean or equate to wealth. Just keep that in mind as we work through this, okay? The first level is dependency. Your income doesn't cover your essentials. So something else has to fill the gap, basically. Your family, an overdraft, a credit card that never quite gets cleared. And if that's you, the first thing that I want you to hear is that is not some character flaw, right? Money at level 1 is a kind of constant background hum. You're doing horrible mathematical sums at the checkout and the supermarket. The boiler packing up, it's not annoying, it's a crisis that rolls into next month's rent. There's actually research on this sort of thing that means that being short on money actually eats into your mental bandwidth by something like 13 IQ points, which is roughly, by the way, the same as a full night without any sleep does to you. So look, if this is you, you're not bad with money. You're just trying to do maths in a building that is burning down around you. The way out is predictable and narrow. It's super simple. You got to kill the high street debt first, because that's the thing that's actively pulling the floor down away from underneath you. Then get more coming in or less going out. Super simple. Until those two numbers cross over, there's nothing clever about it. You've just got to do that. Level 2 is solvency. The bills are paid on time without borrowing. And the situation is that that's done, but there might not be anything left at the end of the month. And this is the one that's dangerous, precisely because it kind of feels okay, right? It feels all right. So ONS figures put roughly a third of UK households in with under £1,000 that they can actually get at right now. A third. So you're absolutely fine on like a clear day, and then a redundancy lands or a tax bill that you've half forgotten about, and you are back to level 1 overnight. So level 2 has pretty much one job, £1,000, just £1,000 in a separate instant access savings account, and you just leave it alone. That's your cash buffer. Don't invest it. It's not there to grow. It's there to take the hit. It's the kind of spare tire, right? Nobody's trying to win a race with a spare tire on. It just stops you from being broken down at the side of the road. So just make sure you can get that in place, okay? Level 3 is starting to shift a bit. It's stability. Consumer debt is pretty much all but gone, and you've got 3 to 6 months worth of living costs sat in cash as an emergency fund. You will feel this in your body before you ever see it on some spreadsheet. The dread just kind of goes, right? You open your banking app without having that flinch or that feeling in your stomach. If the washing machine goes, you just pay for it. Simple, done, easy. Which is kind of the whole point. And it's exactly why most people genuinely never go any further. Level 3 doesn't feel like some arbitrary rung on a ladder. It feels like arriving, right? You've got breathing room. So what do? You breathe. You relax a little bit. You upgrade a little bit. And every year, your spending quietly rises to meet what you're earning. Look, I'll tell you when this properly landed for me, because I think I actually got it embarrassingly wrong, right? So early on, I was absolutely certain on who was the wealthiest clients on my books, essentially. The bloke with obviously the Aston Martin on the drive. The whole thing, right? But then I opened up the file and I find out that he had about 4 months of runways, of monetary runway, and a wall of monthly commitments. But meanwhile, there was this head teacher who looked very unassuming, who drove a Skoda, had zero interest in impressing anybody. And she could have stopped work for the best part of a decade and just been completely fine. I had been reading the wrong signals, right? The wrong car in the car park. The car park tells you absolutely nothing. It's sometimes inversely correlated. And that is the wall between level 3 and level 4. And like I said, it isn't earnings. There was this guy once who came into my office on £220,000 a year. And he sits down in front of me and he goes, I don't understand it, right? I'm earning more money than like me or my parents or anyone else would have ever dreamed of. But I feel like I'm treading water. And he was right. Every pay rise he'd ever gotten had been matched pretty much within a month by bigger mortgage, bigger lease, bigger membership somewhere. He hadn't got wealthier. He'd got more expensive, right? He wasn't wealthy. He was expensively broke. And honestly, in the one-to-one work that I do, that's a conversation that I have more often than I would like, to be honest with you. By the way, links are in the description if that's something that fits with you and you want some help with. So getting over this wall isn't just about earning more. It's about surplus money no longer just turning into a kind of nicer standard of living and starting to actually turn into things that work and pay you. Level 4 is time autonomy. So you get there when your savings and investments cover 2 to 3 years of your actual life, or when your money throws off enough each year that covers your basic overheads, so your basic standard of living without you lifting a finger. Below level 4, you're working to pay kind of for your past and your present, right? From 4 up, your capital is buying back your future. It's a good way to frame it. Remember those 2 people we spoke about at the start of the video, both on 150 grand? That's the entire difference, right? Same payslip, same postcode probably. One of them is on level 3, but has a shiny car and a lovely kitchen. The other one is in level 4 with 3 years of runway and a completely set of different options when it comes down to their working life and all that sort of stuff. And that is exactly, leads me on to the next bit, where all this shows up, how you can handle and manage work. So if your boss demands something unreasonable, you can say no and mean it. Culture in your office turns poisonous, you can leave on a Friday with nothing else lined up. 6 months out to like retrain or go to university or whatever, or to have a proper go at your own business or your own thing, your family's baseline, your income doesn't wobble because of that. That's what money is actually for, not a shiny kitchen or a shiny car on the drive. And it gets built, honestly, with the dullest tools in the box, which is the part that nobody wants to hear, of course. There's no clever version of this. You've got a pension. money going in before tax, with your employer potentially topping it up as well. Then you've got a stocks and shares ISA, which again is just a wrapper where any growth that the investments make is completely tax free. And inside them, or investing within them, things like low-cost global index funds, which is just one pot that spreads your money around thousands of the biggest companies across the world. You're not betting the house on picking individual winners like the next Nvidia, the next Tesla. You're just getting exposure to the asset class of equities, okay? Now, everything above level 4, I would say, is kind of like a different sport, I'll be honest. Most people watching this will never need levels 6 and 7, but you should know the shape of the ladder, right? Because knowing what's above you kind of changes what you do next. Level 5 is cash flow independence. So what that means is your investments produce enough at a sustainable withdrawal rate, call it 3-4% a year, which is, again, the figure that we roughly use, that you can take out of your investments without destroying your pot over a long period of time, to cover 100% of your living costs indefinitely. So basically, retirement, right? You never have to earn another active pound in your life. And the interesting bit is what happens to the type of worry that you have in this situation. It stops being like, what if I lose my job, and what happens before all that sort of stuff? And it becomes inflation and market timing and returns, which obviously, frankly, are much calmer, nicer problems to have. See, most level 5 clients that I've ever had, they actually keep working, by the way, nearly all of them. One of them told me that the only thing that changed really was that Sunday evenings stopped feeling like stressful times, right? They stopped feeling like it was anything that they sort of feared. They didn't have that Sunday fear anymore. Same job, same desk. It just wasn't under the same stress anymore, essentially. Level 6, though, is where something magic happens. It's where the maths starts to completely flip over. This is where your portfolio grows more in a normal year than you could sensibly spend in one or contribute into the investments. And there's something genuinely strange about that, because at that point, your money has effectively become a separate person, a separate entity in its own right, one that out-earns you and never has to get out of bed. A 5% move in your portfolio, this is bigger than your salary or contributions to it ever was. Your labor has stopped being the main driver of your wealth. Where you put your capital is. And its job changes from like budgeting to tax and structure and simply just not losing any of that money. And at level 7, money stops being personal at all. You've got more than you or your children will ever get through. So the questions that you start to ask yourself around money start changing completely. Things like, how do I set up a trust that supports my grandchildren without quietly sort of destroying their ambition? Where do I point this so that it solves something? The process is this: self, then family, then generations. Right, so let's figure out which level you are actually on. How do we make this real? This is going to take 90 seconds, so just stay with me. Everything revolves around this. So take everything that you could get your hands on inside a week, right? So more liquid assets, not necessarily equity in your property and all that sort of stuff, and divide it by what 1 month of your life genuinely costs you. That number is your runway in months, and it will tell you more about where you stand than any arbitrary salary ever has. If you have under 1 month, you are at level 1 or 2. If you have 3 to 6, you're at level 3. 24 to 36, and you are through that wall. Now, one of the critical things to bear in mind here is that to protect all of this and to grow and build from every single level, one of the biggest things that I've seen people do that's had the impact is that when a next pay rise or bonus turns up, this is going to help you to get through this wall, split it in half before it ever touches your account. put half into a pension or investments and take half for you. You still want to enjoy it, right? You just don't get to spend all of it every single time. That's the only reason lifestyle creep ever wins. And do you know what? No one's at the door telling you to not do it. So in this case, just be very deliberate about changing the process to how you get pay rises and what that means. And then the critical thing here is stop counting pounds in terms of your wealth and start counting days. Look, £1,000 invested in a low-cost global index fund isn't £1,000. At 4%, it's 40 quid a year, isn't it? Coming to you permanently. If a month of your life costs about, let's say, 2.5 grand, then 40 quid is about what? Half a day back of your existence brought back every single year for the rest of your life, whether you turn up to work that day or not, which changes the maths on everything else when you look at it through that lens, doesn't it? Because a 2 grand impulse buy isn't 2 grand anymore. It's a day or half a day of your life every year handed back to you for good. And of course, some impulse buys are genuinely worth it. That's fine. That's not what I'm saying. That is the whole point in having money. But what you should at least have in your mind is knowing what exchange rates you're trading that impulse buy for. Now, a lot of people will look back at what they've earned throughout their life and think to themselves, I'm only really at like level 3, which is crazy considering how much I've earned throughout my life. That's completely natural thing to think, by the way. To look back at what you did in, say, your 20s and regret the fact that you might have squandered what you earn. Well, if that is you, I really think that you should watch this video here next, because I'm going to take you through exactly what you should be doing if you feel like you haven't made best use of your money in the early stages of your career, and you now want to take things seriously to start catching up. So give it a click and I will see you there.